She said, "You have two options. Apologize or leave." That was it. No hug, no support. Just those words, like I was some stranger crashing her party instead of her damn husband. We were at her family's reunion. Her name's Vanessa, and if you saw her, you'd think she's the kind of woman who could talk a cop out of a ticket and then walk away with his badge. Long black hair, lashes like knives, smile so sharp it could cut through steel. But behind that smile, a monster. It all started with a stupid argument. Her brother Travis, drunk out of his mind, made a crack about how I wasn't really part of the family. I laughed it off, tried to keep the peace, but he kept pushing. Called me a deadbeat, even though I work 60 hours a week and keep the lights on while Vanessa works from home and somehow never opens her damn laptop. I finally snapped, told Travis to shut his mouth before I shut it for him. Next thing I know, her dad Ronald gets in my face, puffed up like some cowboy about the duel. And Vanessa? She didn't say a word. Not one. Just stood there with her arms crossed while I got humiliated by her entire family. We drove home in silence. She didn't ask how I felt. Didn't say she was sorry. Instead, she waited until we were standing in our living room, the same one I remodeled for her last year, and she looked at me like I was some piece of dirt on her shoe. "You embarrassed me," she hissed. "You have two options. Apologize or leave." I laughed. I actually laughed, man, because I realized in that moment she never had my back. Not once. So I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I opened my laptop, booked a one-way ticket to Denver, grabbed my duffel, and left. No note. No explanation. Just walked out the door. The next morning, she called me 5 times. Left voicemails. "Where are you? What are you doing? You're acting crazy." I didn't answer. Not for 3 days. Then, something weird happened. She stopped calling. And I got curious. I logged into our shared account. We still hadn't separated finances and noticed a $368 charge from a hotel in the city. A weeknight. 2 nights after I left. Vanessa hates hotels. Says they're germ traps. So what the hell was she doing there? I checked the timestamp. 11:42 p.m. room service. She wasn't eating alone. Not at that hour. Not my Vanessa, who never eats after 6 because late-night snacks make you bloat. That night, I called my best friend Dean. "Bro," I said, "I think she's screwing someone." He didn't even pause. "Dude, she's been screwing someone." "What do you mean?" "She told me you were on a break. And I saw her out with a guy last month. Thought you knew." Pause. My hands went cold. My fingers tingled. "What guy?" "I don't know him. But they were close. Real close. Holding hands. She kissed him outside a restaurant like it wasn't even a secret." I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling in my Airbnb, heart pounding like a war drum. 1,000 memories came flooding in. Every lie. Every weird text. Every time she locked her phone or left the room when it buzzed. I opened our shared photo album. She had deleted every recent picture of us. All the way back to Christmas. She didn't even bother hiding it. That's when it hit me. This wasn't new. I wasn't just a backup plan. I was the fool. The clown in the corner. And she was already building a new life before I ever bought that one-way ticket. But it gets worse. Because what I found next, that turned everything into fire. I went back to our house the next day. Didn't call her. Didn't text. Just showed up with my keys still in my pocket and a knot in my gut the size of a fist. I needed to see it for myself. Needed confirmation that I wasn't crazy. That everything I felt wasn't just paranoia or bruised pride. It was around 3 p.m. Her car was in the driveway, but not parked like usual. Crooked. Rushed. That alone set off alarms. Vanessa never left things crooked. She was obsessive about angles and lines, like the world was a Pinterest board. I walked up the front steps. Quiet. Heart pounding like a bass drum in my chest. Key slid into the lock, turned clean. I stepped inside. First thing I noticed? Music. Low, moody, R&B. Some guy singing about bodies and passion. Second thing? A trail. Not clothes exactly, but clues. A red heel near the hallway. A wine glass on the side table. Her purse thrown open, makeup spilling out. And then I heard it. Voices. Not a conversation. No words. Just noises. Her laugh. Soft. Breathless. Then his voice. A low murmur. Then silence. Then a sound I'll never forget. That wet, rhythm sound of bodies moving. I should have walked out. Should have turned around and spared myself the image that's now seared into my skull. But I didn't. I moved like a ghost down the hall, one step at a time. Toward the bedroom. Toward the noise. toward the betrayal. And when I opened that door, she didn't even flinch. Vanessa was on top of him, straddling him like it was her life's purpose. Eyes closed, head tilted back. And him? Some gym rat-looking asshole with a tribal tattoo across his chest, smirking like he'd just won the lottery. I didn't say a word. Didn't need to. She opened her eyes, froze, and for half a second, just stared at me. Naked, exposed, caught. And then she had the audacity to roll her eyes. "You're not supposed to be here," she said. Just like that. Flat. Cold. Like I was interrupting her damn spa day. Seriously. I choked out. "This is how you move on." A week. She pulled a sheet around her like it mattered. "Don't be dramatic, Kyle. You left. I told you to apologize. You didn't. That's on you." The guy didn't even get out of bed. Just raised an eyebrow like he wanted to see what I'd do. Probably hoping for a fight. I almost gave him one. But I didn't swing. I just laughed. Because it hit me all at once. The game. The manipulation. The months of weird moods and disappearing acts. She'd been screwing him long before the family reunion. "You been with him this whole time?" I asked. She shrugged. "What does it matter now?" And that was the moment something in me snapped. Not the kind of snap that leads to shouting or breaking furniture. No, it was colder than that. Quieter. Like a switch flipped, and every feeling I had for her, every drop of love or loyalty, got sucked into a black hole. I nodded. Walked out. Didn't slam the door. Didn't yell. Just left. Back in the car. I couldn't breathe. I sat there with my hands on the wheel, staring at nothing. She didn't even follow me out. Didn't call. Didn't text. And that told me everything. She was done. She'd been done for a long time. And I was just now catching up. I spent the night driving. Nowhere in particular. Just needed the road, the noise, the distraction. Gas station coffee, old playlists, city lights turning to highways and back again. My phone buzzed once around midnight. Not her. Dean. He texted, "You okay?" I wasn't. But I didn't answer. By morning, I found myself parked in front of an old motel off I-70. Cracked neon sign. Vacancy light flickering like it was trying to breathe. I checked in, collapsed on the bed, and stared at the ceiling until sleep finally dragged me under like a wave pulling at my ankles. When I woke up, I felt hollow. Not angry. Not even sad. Just nothing. Like someone had scooped my insides out and left me running on fumes. But I couldn't stay numb for long. I needed answers. Not from her, she'd lie. She always lied. I needed truth, even if it came from someone else's mouth. So I called Dean. "You ready to talk yet?" he said. No hello. No pity. "Yeah, tell me everything." And he did. Apparently, this guy, Lance, real original, was someone she met at her gym. Trainer, younger, cocky as hell. They'd been friendly for months. She told Dean it started after one of our fights. Said she needed comfort. Dean said it was all bullsh*t. She was seeing this clown behind my back while smiling at me over dinner and asking me to pass the salt like nothing was wrong. "She used you, man," Dean said. "For stability. Money. Image. You were the husband, he was the side fun." Those words hit harder than I expected. Because deep down, I knew. The signs were all there. Locked phone. Cold kisses. The way she always made me the villain in every argument. Like I was supposed to apologize just for breathing wrong. I started to think back. Remembered how she'd stop touching me at night. How she'd go for walks after 10 p.m. How she never wanted to talk about the future anymore. And still, I stayed. I kept believing she'd come back. That it was just a rough patch. That I wasn't enough, but maybe I could be if I just worked harder, smiled more, stayed quiet. Sick part? I was planning to buy her a necklace for our anniversary. Custom engraved. I'd already picked the damn thing out. But now I was sleeping on a motel bed with springs in my spine, trying to stitch together a version of my life that didn't make me feel like a joke. Then, the twist. That afternoon, I got a call. From Maya, Vanessa's little cousin. 17. Sweet girl. Always liked me. "Hi, Kyle," she whispered. "I know I probably shouldn't call, but I think you should know something." I sat up straight. My heart started pounding. "What is it?" "I was at the house yesterday. Vanessa didn't know I was coming. I walked in, and she was on the phone. I think with Lance. She said she was glad you left. That now she could move him in without the guilt." I didn't say anything. And then she laughed, Maya added. "She said she hoped you'd sign the papers quick so she could change the locks." "Papers? Divorce papers?" I hadn't seen a thing. She hadn't sent anything. But she was already planning the celebration. That was the last straw. I didn't cry. Didn't scream. I just hung up, walked to the bathroom, stared at myself in the mirror, and made a choice. I wasn't going to be the victim anymore. She wanted to play dirty? Fine. She had no idea who she married. And I was about to remind her. I drove back into town that night. No plan, no suitcase, just one goal burning in my chest like acid. I wasn't walking away empty-handed. Vanessa thought she'd won. Thought I'd disappear with my tail between my legs while she played house with a gym clown and soaked up sympathy from her family like I was the problem. She forgot who I was before I married her. I used to be sharp, calculated. I let love soften me. That was my mistake. I parked a few blocks from the house. Didn't want her spotting my car. Walked the rest of the way, hoodie up, baseball cap low. I wasn't breaking in. My name was still on the lease. And more importantly, the security system? I installed it. She never bothered to change the codes. The house was dark. Quiet. Midnight kind of quiet. I slipped through the side door, the one she never remembered to lock. Shoes off, footsteps light. Heart racing. But not with fear. With purpose. I went straight to the office. The drawer she thought I didn't know about. She used it to hide receipts, birthday plans, and apparently more. I found a stack of folded papers. Credit card statements. Room service charges. All billed to the same card, mine. And under that, a handwritten letter. Not to me. To him. It started with Lance, baby. I stopped reading. I couldn't. My hands were shaking too hard. I shoved it all in my backpack. Then I did something I hadn't planned. I walked to the bedroom. She was asleep. Alone. Curled up like a kid, hair a mess, breathing soft. For a second, I saw the version of her I married. The girl who used to sing in the car, dance in the kitchen barefoot, cry during old movies. But that girl was dead. And the woman in that bed buried her. I stood there for a full minute. Just watching. Not saying a word. Then I took my wedding band off and set it gently on the nightstand. She didn't wake up. Of course she didn't. She never heard me when it mattered. Back in the living room, I grabbed the fireproof lockbox where I kept all my important documents. Passport. Birth certificate. The original deed to the truck. She didn't know where the key was, but I did. I took it all. Everything I needed to be done with her. And then I left. This time for good. At sunrise, I was already 2 states away, sitting in a diner, sipping burnt coffee and flipping through the evidence like it was a case file. Every page, every receipt, every whisper of betrayal just fueled the fire. I called my lawyer. Told him I wanted everything prepared fast. And by the way, I said, make sure she doesn't touch my accounts. Freeze them all. That same day, I posted something simple on Facebook. Vanessa, you said I had 2 choices, apologize or leave. I chose to leave. Now you're going to see what that really means. She saw it within an hour. Tried calling. 6 times. I didn't pick up. Then came the texts. Kyle, please. Let's talk. You're being immature. This is not how adults handle things. You're hurting me. Hurting her. She had the audacity to play the victim. I didn't respond. I just kept moving forward. One document at a time. One account at a time. One thread of our old life being cut. Over and over. Then came the one that made me sit up straight. You took the papers. That's illegal. I'll call the cops. That told me everything I needed to know. She didn't want to talk. She was scared. Because deep down, she knew what I knew. She wasn't just cheating. She was living in a house paid by me, using my money to fund her late-night motel adventures, planning a new life on my dime. And I was done financing the betrayal. The next move? That would be the one she'd never forget. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in the cheap motel armchair with the folder of papers spread out across the table like a war map. I was done reacting. Now it was time to strike. The next morning, I went to the bank. Not just to freeze accounts. I already did that. No, this time I made it surgical. I pulled every record, every shared account, joint card, transaction under my name that linked to hers. Highlighted every hotel charge, every spa visit she made while pretending to be working through things. I even found a few Venmo payments to someone named J-Fit. Guess who? Then I went to my lawyer's office. He looked through the folder and whistled low. She's not getting a dime, he said. With this, she won't even get the couch. I nodded. Didn't even smile. I wasn't here for revenge. I was here for justice. For clarity. For every damn lie she fed me like candy while she let another man keep her warm. 2 days later, she emailed me. Subject, Please talk to me. Kyle, this is not how I wanted things to go. I was hurt. You were always distant. You never really listened to me. I only went to the hotel to get away, and yes, I saw someone. But it didn't mean anything. Please, let's talk. It didn't mean anything. That was her excuse. Funny how nothing feels like a knife in the ribs when you walk in and see it with your own eyes. I didn't respond. Instead, I sent the first draft of the divorce papers. Clean. Cold. Final. Her response came within hours. A long wall of text, more crying than words. She said I was being spiteful, that I was overreacting. Then came the real reason she was panicking. Lance doesn't want to move in anymore. He says he's not ready for a real relationship. I thought we had something, but I guess I was wrong. You and I, we've built so much. Don't throw it all away. I laughed out loud when I read that. In the middle of a gas station parking lot. Loud and bitter. A couple pumping gas nearby actually looked over. Vanessa didn't miss me. She missed the version of me that paid the bills, did the fixing, played the husband while she played around. I told my lawyer to move forward. No mediation. No second chances. She made her choice the second she let another man in our bed. Hell, before that, the moment she told me to apologize or leave, and then smiled when I chose the door. But I wasn't done. Not yet. I sent her one last message. Not a paragraph. Not a rant. Just a photo. The ring. Sitting on the nightstand. Next to the letter she wrote to Lance. I captioned it. You made your bed. Lie in it. She didn't respond. Not that day. But the next morning, I got a call from Dean. You're not gonna believe this, he said. Vanessa's blowing up social media, saying you ghosted her, abandoned her after the reunion, didn't tell her why you left, and that you're refusing to communicate like a grown man. My blood boiled. She was rewriting the story, making herself the victim, twisting it into some poor little wife narrative, hoping to get sympathy from the same people who ignored me when her drunk brother tried to humiliate me. I wanted to scream. Instead, I sent Dean the screenshots of her texts, of the hotel receipts, of the handwritten love note. I didn't post them publicly. I didn't have to. Dean did. And it spread fast. Within hours, her whole fake little support circle saw the truth. One by one, the comments flipped. Some of her family messaged me privately. Some apologized. Some didn't say a word but stopped defending her. And Vanessa? She blocked me. On everything. Just like that. Not even the courage to face the consequences. But I didn't need closure from her. The closure came when I opened my mailbox and saw the signed divorce papers. The ink wasn't even dry before I tossed them back to my lawyer and took the deepest breath I'd taken in months. It was over. Finally. And the next chapter? It was mine alone. A few days after the papers were signed, the silence hit different. Not the heavy, choking silence of a dying marriage. This was cleaner. Empty in a good way. Like the air after a storm, wreckage still around. Sure, but at least now you can breathe. I moved out of the motel and into a short-term rental near the lake. Nothing fancy. Just one bedroom, tiny kitchen, chipped tiles. But it was mine. Every square foot. No perfume lingering in the air that didn't belong. No half-used wine glasses on the counter. No lying eyes across the room pretending like everything was okay. I started waking up early again. Making real breakfast. Running. Something about sweating out the anger made me feel human again. For the first time in years, I looked in the mirror and didn't feel like a stranger. I wasn't Kyle the husband. Kyle the punching bag. I was just Kyle. Then came the unexpected. Maya, Vanessa's cousin, texted me again. Just so you know. Vanessa's moving out of the house. Her parents cut her off. She's staying with a friend for now. Thought you'd want to hear it from someone who doesn't lie to your face. I didn't reply. I just stared at the message and let it sink in. She was reaping the fallout, piece by piece. Not because I wanted her to suffer, but because lies always collapse under their own weight. Hers just took a little longer. A week later, Dean and I grabbed a beer. He kept the conversation light at first, sports, work, usual stuff, until he leaned in. You seem better, man. I feel better. Still angry. Not like I was. Now it's just disappointment. He nodded. You know she told people you cheated first? Said you were talking to someone at work? I almost laughed. Of course she did. The thing about Vanessa? She couldn't stand looking like the villain. Even after everything, the affair, the gaslighting, the pure disrespect, she still needed to wear the crown of the wounded queen. I'd stopped playing the role of her loyal fool, and that burned her worse than anything. But there was one more surprise waiting for me. The house. I hadn't thought about it much since leaving. My lawyer had handled most of the split. We agreed she could stay if she bought out my share. But apparently she couldn't get a loan, couldn't afford the place alone. And now? It was on the market. My house. The one I built shelves in, painted walls in, carried her across the threshold like a dumb fairy tale. And now it was up for sale, just another listing with staged photos and fake flowers on the kitchen table. I didn't go back to see it. I didn't need to. Some things don't deserve goodbyes. But one night, maybe a month after it all, I found that old necklace in the glove compartment. The one I planned to give her for our anniversary. Still in the velvet box. The engraving read, "Forever tomorrow, Kay." I sat in the parking lot of a grocery store just staring at it. Then I walked inside, bought a lighter, drove out to a cliffside overlook near the lake, and lit that box on fire. Watched the flames curl around the velvet, then the silver, then everything I thought we were. Smoke carried the lie into the wind. And I stood there, hands in pockets, letting go. Not of the pain that takes time, but of the illusion. The belief that love means staying no matter how deep the betrayal cuts. That day, I stopped carrying the weight of her sins on my shoulders. She made her choices, and I finally made mine. A few weeks passed. Life started to settle into a rhythm. Not normal, but something close. I was working again, sleeping through the night, not checking my phone like a man waiting for a bomb to go off. The world didn't feel like it was collapsing anymore. And then, like clockwork, she found a new way to crawl back in. It started with a blocked number. I let it ring. Then came the voicemail. "Kyle, it's me. Please don't delete this. I just want to talk. I know I messed up. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I can't stop thinking about you. I miss you. I miss us." She said, "us," like it was still something sacred. Like she hadn't shattered it with her own hands. I didn't call back. 2 days later, another voicemail. "You didn't even hear me out. You just walked away. You didn't fight for us." Didn't fight? I fought like hell. I fought every time I looked the other way. Every time I swallowed her lies. Every night I laid in bed next to her, wondering why I felt alone with someone breathing inches from me. And then came the final message. No words. Just a photo. Her, crying. Clutching one of my old hoodies. Pathetic. I blocked the number. The next day, Maya texted again. "Heads up. Vanessa showed up at my parents' last night. She was drunk. Said she messed everything up. Said Lance ghosted her completely. He's dating someone new." That one made me pause. Not because I cared. I didn't. Not anymore. But because there was something tragically poetic about it. She gave up everything for a fling with a tattooed idiot who dished her the second life got complicated. The same guy she told me didn't mean anything was now blocking her calls. And me? I was halfway through rebuilding my life while she was unraveling. But I'll tell you the real closure moment. It wasn't burning the necklace. It wasn't signing the papers. It was one random Tuesday morning, sitting on my balcony, drinking coffee, watching the lake move with the breeze, and realizing I hadn't thought about her in days. Not her voice. Not her face. Not her betrayal. Just silence. Real silence. And peace. That's when I knew it was over. Not just the marriage. Not just the drama. The grip she had on me, it was gone. I was free. And if you're reading this, if you're going through something like I did, let me say this. Don't chase someone who walks away with your trust and leaves you empty. Don't beg someone to love you while they're laying in someone else's arms. Don't waste your loyalty on someone who uses it as a doormat. Walk away with your spine straight and your heart intact, even if it's broken. Because one day, the weight leaves your chest. And when it does, you'll finally understand what love is supposed to feel like. It's not begging. It's not pain. It's not proving your worth to someone who already decided you weren't enough. It's peace. And peace is everything. I saw her one last time. It wasn't planned. I was coming out of a hardware store with a box of tools in my hand and a list of things I actually looked forward to fixing in my new place. The sun was out, not too hot, and for once, life didn't feel like a mess of broken glass and fake smiles. And then there she was, Vanessa, standing by her car, struggling to start it. Same designer sunglasses, same attitude tucked into a tighter version of the woman I once called my wife. But this time, she looked small. Not glamorous. Not powerful. Just tired. Worn down. Like the lies finally started weighing on her shoulders. She saw me. I kept walking. But she stepped forward. "Kyle," she said softly, almost like a question. Like she didn't expect me to exist anymore without her approval. I stopped. Just for a second. She looked up at me with a half smile, The one she used to flash when she wanted something. You look good. I nodded. I know. Her face twitched. I could see it, that old reflex to control, to pull me back in. But not this time. I heard you bought a place. I did. And you're okay? I'm better than okay, Vanessa. She nodded slowly, chewing the inside of her cheek. I was stupid. You were cruel, I said flatly. Silence. Then she looked down, like maybe she had the decency to feel it, even if just for a second. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't respond. Not out of bitterness. Just because some apologies come too late to matter. I turned and walked back to my truck, tossed the toolbox in, and drove away. And that was it. No fireworks. No grand speech. No dramatic tears. Just the quiet truth between two people who destroyed something sacred and stood in the ashes trying to pretend it hadn't already blown away. That night, I went home and sat on the balcony again. Same lake, same breeze, same silence. But this time, I smiled. Because I didn't need revenge. I didn't need her to hurt. I just needed me back. And I had him. Stronger. Wiser. Scarred, but not bitter. So if you're reading this, and you're where I was confused, broken, lied to listen to me, you survive. You rebuild. And one day, without warning, you'll breathe again. And it'll feel like the first breath you've taken in years.